is episode 38 of the Business and Beyond podcast on Next Gen Media. I'm Ashton.
And I'm Tony.
Coming to you from the Apogee Grafix studios, watching the NFL draft right now.
The Dolphins just put their pick in. What we got here?
Yeah. Pick 5 in the first round. We're recording this, obviously, if you're a football fan, on Thursday
This
night.
is pick 6. The Bengals just did one.
This extra TV
5.
works a lot better. I don't have to turn around and the audio be horrible. Just look up.
Too much dead air here.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you can watch it in the... Well, I guess if you're on YouTube. If you're not, if you're listening to this on one of the many podcast platforms, we appreciate you. After you're done listening to it, go to YouTube and watch this episode.
If you didn't realize, this is a little different. This is day 1 of the NFL draft, which would be Thursday.
Hey, this is the most...
we are recording on a Thursday, which is out of the norm for us. Usually it's a Friday or Saturday or even Sunday.
I'll probably wait to post this tomorrow anyways, because we're more like a weekend deal. Give everybody an opportunity, because you know those entrepreneurs out there are busy even on weekends, but yeah, they're definitely busting it during the week.
Yeah.
So, if you want to tie this, which you can say this is the beyond part of our podcast, but the NFL draft is pretty much the most business-like event you can get to. Maybe free agency, but yeah there's absolutely a lot of owners and executives making big business decisions.
Yeah, and a lot of what goes into those owners making business decisions, as well as these kids coming out of college, is how they were judged and how they've been judged pretty much from the moment they declared for the draft through combines and, their pro days and things. They're just constantly judged and scrutinized, much like entrepreneurs are on a day-to-day. Yeah,
both sides of it. I mean, being a Cowboys fan and going for the last couple of years, like, who are you blaming? Dak for wanting more money, or the Joneses for holding out? They could have had him for $10 million less a year per year if they would have signed him a couple of years ago. Of course, you just don't know. I mean, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're going to make decisions like the Jaguars drafted Trevor Lawrence. Everyone knew it was coming. You had to do it. And there's probably, a 50-50 chance he's going to pan out to what you think he is. I mean, he's going to be a really good quarterback, I think. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a bust, but people are putting him in the Hall of Fame. But that 50-50 is probably better odds than you give most players.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to pan out to what you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think really, for me, in the draft, kids coming out, I mean, I think they're all pretty much 50-50. You assume and you have hopes, expectations of what they will do based off what they did in college. Some guys are really, your Tom Brady's, your Daks, your Romos that have come in and, really late round picks that actually turned out to be pretty solid players for those picks. And then you have guys that are busts early on, so...
Off topic, it's on this topic, but didn't expect to talk about it this much, but what would you... I mean, it's hard to say. What would you rate them as a bust? Like Trevor Lawrence, if he plays 12 years in this league, doesn't win a Super Bowl, but does, put some numbers up.
No, I don't think he's a bust if he...
Probably didn't live up to his name.
I think, but something less than 8 to 10 years and you're already out of the league.
Or if he doesn't make a second contract. That's usually what I think.
Yeah.
If you draft somebody if you draft a player in the top 10 and you don't sign them for a second contract, that's a failure. Whether you want to call it a bust, maybe, there's a lot of things that go into it. Trevor Lawrence obviously doesn't have to be a Hall of Famer to be a bust.
Yeah. Just
because he doesn't live up to it. Busts are Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, quarterbacks like that. But it's hard for a quarterback because they picked him so high. You're picking him high because you had a horrible year, and they're just kind of put in a bad situation. I mean, players like Blake Bortles, I thought, he got in a really bad situation. I think you put him in a similar situation to what Dak was lucked into.
Maybe
he's different.
Or Jared Goff.
I mean, he didn't. have such a bad time. I mean, Jared Goff, there was a lot of talks like people were freaking in love with him. And I mean, he did take the Rams to the Super Bowl. He hadn't been horrible. You know, I think he's been an above average quarterback. But you drafted him number 1 overall. You expect him to be a top 5 quarterback.
And
so
now he's not on your team. I mean,
yeah, exactly. If you would have, I mean, if he'd have been drafted later in the first round, maybe not so much of a bust. But, you know, you don't give quarterbacks and players as much slack as you used to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a pretty young quarterback. I mean, he's the same age as Dak, or there was the same draft class as Dak, and with Carson Wentz, and it's a whole nother. I mean, Carson Wentz was completely different.
Yeah, that's a guy I would call a bust.
You had to change. Well,
as he started off,
a really good year and a half. His rookie year wasn't very good, but he had a really good season, and then half a season he just couldn't stay healthy. And Eagles fans are horrible fans.
Yeah,
they get to you mentally. Maybe he's just not mentally strong.
This year will tell a lot from him.
Yeah,
if he can bounce.
That's what I think. I think the talent's there. I just think you're either mentally strong or you're not. You know, he is or he isn't. You can bitch and complain all you want, but if he's not, okay, he's not. That's not one of his strong suits.
Yeah,
maybe he can get in a situation where football's not near as important. Mm-hmm. I would think, or not as live or die as it is in Philadelphia and Indianapolis. So maybe, you know, a change of scenery will help.
Yeah.
But Goff, I was surprised when they traded him. Like, he's been relatively successful, you know. But, you know, number 1 overall, you gotta do something. So what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
So.
And it was a business move. It was a business decision by the Rams to do that.
But, like I was saying, they take Trevor Lawrence. If he goes... If he ends up being a bust or they're just not re-signing him, I mean, people are going to look at that as a bad pick.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, that was a good pick. I don't care what happens to him because everybody had the same expectation. Mm-hmm. Usually you have half the guys saying this, half the guys saying this in the war room, and it's just whoever wins out. But I guarantee there was nobody in Jacksonville that had any importance that didn't say Trevor Lawrence. It's like, you can't get mad when that was a pick. Anybody would pick. If the Cowboys had the number 1 pick, they would have picked Trevor Lawrence, or they would have traded out of it. But Trevor Lawrence was going number 1 no matter what.
Yeah.
So, like I said, hindsight's 20/20. We'll see how it turns out. Cowboys are picking here at about 3 or 4 picks. The Lions right now, their pick is in. But everybody listening to this has probably already seen this or knows everybody who's gone in the top 10. So let's move on.
But so we were talking about, you know, the judgment of these guys and the ridicule that these guys go through this entire process is very similar to what businesses go through. You know, I'm sure followers of ours, we haven't heard that in any of our businesses, I don't believe. But I'm sure we're judged as well.
Yeah, whether you hear about it or not, it's a lot more common because it's so easy to get a hold of people and leave reviews. Excuse me, and reviews are kind of a double-edged sword because good reviews, for the most part, if you went above and beyond, nobody just leaves a review and said, yeah, they were good, they did what they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Which is really all I care about. I mean, if I see a restaurant with really great reviews, you know, I'm more likely to go try it, but if I see someone, they did everything they're supposed to do, that's all I care about. But you're much more persuaded to leave a negative review. It didn't have to be horrible to leave a negative review.
Yeah.
But if everything, they do what they're supposed to, it's, you know, you're not necessarily going to get a positive review, so you have to do that. But really, it's, you know, I kind of thrive on it. I mean, depending on what it is. I guess if I just said something really out of the box and, you know, I ended up being wrong, which I can admit. I mean, if you follow me on Facebook, I did say that I don't know what the hype is with the Buccaneers. They're a 9-7 team, a wild card team, which I was right about. They won 10 games. They were a wild card team. But I said that was it. I didn't think they'd win the Super Bowl, but I was wrong on that. I put that opinion out there before the season started. I mean, I'm not a person of great importance in sports, so who cares? But, you know, nobody really roasted me. I mean, I don't know that they even remembered. But, you know, I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll eat it. When you're wrong, you should. Mm-hmm. Especially if you get a bad review and, you know, your business screwed up. If, you know, you're a food service and you deliver the wrong food or undercooked or whatever, that's not necessarily a hater. But certain business decisions saying, hey, that's not going to work. You're an idiot for trying this. It's good. I'm not going to say don't pay attention to them. I mean, it's good to use them, especially if you're somebody who can use that fuel and take it in. I mean, don't take it personally, but
any feedback you can receive, positive or negative, you should always take it in. But you also don't want to over concern yourself with what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because the main thing is you have to be happy and you want your customers to be happy. That should be your main concerns. Number one should be yourself. If you're not happy, then you can't make anyone happy. You can't make your customers happy if you're not happy with what you're doing and how you're putting out a product.
And your customers, if you're in a situation where you have business partners, obviously their opinion matters.
Yeah.
But if you're running the business, you're running the business. Now, I'm a big advocate for obviously admitting when you're wrong, but being able to change your opinion. Like always, never. I don't get in political arguments with people anyways, but if you're going to get in a political argument with somebody, first of all, ask yourself, is it worth it? Is this can this person even change their mind? But think, will you? If you have no point in changing your mind, whether you're right or not, you may be right, but there's no reason in arguing about it. You're not going to change anyone's opinion. You're just going to be more strong-willed in it.
I am not super vocal on politics or even current events on social media. We discuss it. I have other friends that I discuss things with, family, but I don't get into putting out my opinion on social media because there's always going to be that one person. It's no matter what you say, they're going to negate what you have to say. So I usually don't get into it just because I don't want to just create that stir and myself to get upset or say something that I don't mean and that reflect on my business, of our show, I'm mindful. I'm mindful of
if somebody comments and you just let it go, they can just take off with it.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I'm not really, they
and
then
you're defending yourself.
Yeah.
For
you may take more like of a moderate stance on something, and depending on what side they are. You're liberal or you're conservative. You're like, well, I wasn't even making a stance, and if you don't defend yourself, it can go.
Yeah.
And people feel attacked. Like you could just say something and not even have them in mind. And, because sometimes I'll see political stuff. I'm like, man, I really want to, okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Mainly because obviously you're not right about everything. There's something with the political sports opinions that I'm wrong on. I don't know what they are. Of course I think I'm right about everything, but there's something I'm wrong about. Nobody's right about everything.
Yeah.
So that's why in a business stance, you're running the company. It's your decision. I'm not saying don't take outside information. Take it. Do what you want with it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you change your decision based on that and you're wrong, you can't go back to that person and say, hey, I screwed up because I took your advice. Yeah. But you're wrong. Well, you're wrong because you took their advice when you shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
And, obviously listen to it. Be teachable. Be flexible.
And that could go with, even things that we say and the information we put out there. Just because we say it or we think it or we have a belief behind, running a business, take it with a grain of salt. Make sure that it fits your situation. So, like, one of the big shows already this year that's blown up is episode 30. And it's where we talked about, quit your full-time job, focus on your side hustle, make that your full-time, go get a little part-time job, right?
Yeah.
The first person that does that takes that advice and it all falls out and they lose all their jobs and they quit their good job and can't go back. Like,
disclaimer, that was an example. Episode 30 was mainly what's your goal and we're going to tell you how to accelerate that goal.
What I'm getting at is, like, make sure that that's the right situation for you. Don't just say, well, these guys said it. It's going to work. Like, well, it can work. We've seen it work in certain situations. It's not the most popular, and I don't know why. We're still doing research on that. We're still looking at some case studies to see why that hasn't become a bigger thing. Maybe it's, you see a lot of just the people being too scared to make that leap.
Yeah.
People worrying about how people are going to judge them. That, your business must not be doing very well because you're going out and getting a little part-time job. You're working at Home Depot or Kroger or, well, your business must not be that good if
or
you're
it's
doing that.
or like, oh, that's not a real business. You just do it on the side. You don't have a storefront. You're doing it on the internet.
Exactly.
Things like that. And I mean, you can see people's reactions. If there's a popular meme that shows somebody posting, "Hey, I got this job," and it's got like 100 likes. And somebody, "Hey, I just started my own business," it's got like 5 likes.
Yeah.
Because people are like, okay, good job. You got that job. That's legitimate. You start your own business. It's more like, okay, well, let's see what happens. Anybody can start their own business.
I said that I was never judged, but I know that there were times when I was running my full time, and we won't get too much into detail on it, but that a lot of people thought that I was crazy at that time for doing that. At that age, I had a young child and another one on the way that, I just needed to quit. I just needed to go get a job, right? Just a full-time, steady job. And that probably was part of what fueled into me walking away from the side hustle, was some of that doubt that other people had. Because at that time in my mind, it was, okay, if they have doubt in me, then they must be right.
Yeah.
And should be the exact opposite.
And you should feel that way. We're not saying just be 100% resilient and let it bounce off of you.
Yeah.
I mean, it should affect you like that. If it's not going to affect you, then you're not able to change. Mm-hmm. I mean, a good example of being criticized, I know Elon Musk said in an interview, they were talking about SpaceX. And he said when he started that, he had 2 critics were Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, first 2 people on the moon. It's not just some random people saying you shouldn't do this.
Yeah, it's people that have been
experts.
there. Yeah.
Experts on this situation.
Well,
he said
that's what you said, experts.
Well,
right?
I mean, at the time,
Yeah.
How many people have been to space? Yeah, they have to have some level of expertise. And he said that hurt him. Like, he was talking emotionally. Mm-hmm. But, he also thought spending money into it, he was expecting to fail.
Yeah.
That and Tesla, he said, yeah, it'll probably fail.
Mm-hmm.
But, he took what people said. It may look like, I compare him to, he's like the real life Tony Stark, pretty much. And he kind of has that confidence walking around, but he talks about fear. And confidence isn't thinking everybody's going to like me. Confidence is saying, I don't care if they do, or it'll be all right if they don't.
That made me think of in another interview that he did where he talked about that he looked to his friends for a little criticism. Mm-hmm. Instead of his friends, and something we've talked about for a really long time and that we've only focused on is, well, make sure you support your business, your friend's business, right? Yeah. Go ahead and support it, and do support it, but also it kind of has to be a two-way street. You want to have the confidence to be able to tell them, to criticize them a little bit, helpful criticism, but they have to be able to take that, right?
Yeah.
And that's important for someone like your friend to be honest with you. I feel confident, and I know you're confident. You would criticize me on my business, how I'm doing things. Hey, try this. This is what I see. What do you think? What are your thoughts on? Be able to have that conversation with your friends. Yeah. It's hard to have with a stranger, but your friends are someone that you should be able to confide in. And maybe, we've done that, and we've brought in some of our other outside friends, and we kind of have a group that we'd like to discuss some of the things we have going on in our business and kind of bounce ideas back and forth for that constructive criticism.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to talk about is picking your circle. We talk about in previous episodes picking your circle for the positive aspect of it. I mean, you take the average of the 5 people you spend the most time, and that's you. You hang out with 5 drug dealers, you're going to be a drug dealer. You hang out with 5 millionaires, you're probably going to be a millionaire.
You'll find a way to get there.
Yeah. And we talked about it just to keep you focused and all the good stuff, but that's also, on the flip side, have a good inner circle that will tell you, if you're up here on this pedestal and all you're hearing is all the good stuff, then you're just going to blank out people that don't matter and all the negatives, and you're going to set yourself up to fail.
Yeah.
You need someone to ground you and say, hey, hold on, and not that you have to take all their advice. You're your own person, especially if you own your business.
But it would be much easier to hear that from your friend than to wait until you have a disgruntled customer.
Yeah.
It's going to tell you that hey, they see an issue with your invoicing, the way you invoice, the way you charge, the way your disclaimers are, the way you produce, the way you talk to your customers.
And naturally, you're going to say, well, I have a bunch of customers, and you're the only one who really has a problem with it. Well,
they're the only one that speaks up.
Yeah, exactly. You don't, I'm more of a laid back person. Not that I let people walk over me. A lot just doesn't bother me. A lot of times it's like, it's not even worth it. It's fine. If it's not really a big deal. I'm one of those people that you swipe the card, and if it says, when you're getting fuel and it says go see cashier, I'm like, I'll just go a different pump. I don't care. I don't want to have to do that much effort. I just want to swipe the card. I care less. So there can be people like that maybe it wasn't horrible service, but it was not that great. If you would have done an audit of all your customer satisfaction ratings, and your goal should be higher than it what it really is. You should never say, hey, we're doing great. Even if you have really high customers, there's always room for improvement.
What can we do next?
So that's when it's hard when it comes from a customer, because usually it's few and far between, and you're not really going to take it that seriously.
Yeah.
But when it's from somebody you trust, that's why it's good to support your friends' businesses, because they have that option. It's not like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm thinking about doing this. You are an actual customer. How did I do in this?
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. Support them, but also do business with them, and then you can give them criticisms on or critiques on what they could do better, or what you see could potentially be a problem for them.
Yeah. And on the flip side, owners, if you have people doing business with you that you're friends, whether you consider them your inner circle or not, just talk to them, have a candid conversation,
Ask them. If you have a doubt of, hey, am I doing this right? How do my prices look? I feel like this is where I need to be. Ask them, hey, what do you think about my prices?
Exactly.
Are they okay? Or do you think they're in line, or do you think I'm too low? Do you think I'm too high?
Because we advocate, pay more. For, don't go to the big business, big companies. If you pay a little bit more and it's your friend, do it, because it helps the economy. Obviously, helps your community.
And do the business, and then be honest with them. If you think it is a little high, say, hey, this is, but give them an opportunity to explain to you why it is. Yeah, because there's always a reason that it's going to be higher or lower.
You can say, hey, this, I'm an advocate for if you own a small business, do a lot of market research. Just because the big businesses can do stuff that you can't. Exactly. It doesn't mean you can't look at their numbers and see why. But, ask them, like, so what do these people charge? They say, hey, because I have somebody that mows our lawn. I could probably save $10, going from somewhere else. But, lawn maintenance is one thing you pay for what you get. So I wouldn't exactly cheap out on that. But you can say, hey, these people, will charge less. Why is that? I'm not saying you have to, charge me less, but what's the difference?
And not that you care, but you want them to think about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm fine, but there's a lot of people that care less. Hey, I just want my mode. I don't care what it looks like as long as it looks okay. If you can go cheaper, offer a cheaper package, like, hey, we're just going to mow it, weed eat it, blow it off.
I mean, there's some products that I offer that people have told me, oh man, that's a great price. That's really cheap. And not that any business wants to hear, oh yeah, that's really cheap. You're like, ugh. But there's some products I have that I sell so much of it, I do get really good rates, and I have less overhead than a lot of other businesses do. I do a lot of the work myself. I don't have employees that I have to pay like other businesses would have to pay.
Because you look at somebody like Costco. Well, they sell stuff pretty cheap, some items pretty cheap, because they can buy so many of them, but they're probably losing money on certain items because they know when you go in there, you're going to buy. I mean, there's a lot more science into it, a lot more psychological things.
So that's where I was going to get to. That point is, I have items like that are less expensive than other places, but when you come, then they're like, oh, well, if that's cheap, well, you know what? I plan on spending this much. Yeah. Well, let me go ahead and add this, and let me add this, and you have all these upsells to the package because I got them in the door at this. And not that that's a tactic. Like, that is my price. If you came and only bought that, then that's all you buy. I'm not going to tell you, oh, well, you didn't buy anything.
They do in politics. That's why milk is at the back of the store. Yeah. Because you'll have to walk all the way through the store to get to the milk.
To get your basic.
It is what it is. You can't say, well, I feel cheated or I feel used, and okay, well, don't go to the grocery store then.
But I give people the opportunity. If you have a budget, I want to get you as much within that budget as I can.
Yeah.
So I have certain products, and I have certain products that I can't compete with other companies. That's just kind of the give and take I have. And if you want to piecemeal it and shop it out, then do that.
Yeah.
It's fine. I still make the money on the lower end products. Just if you want to, a lot of times that becomes more hassle, and I'm trying to save that hassle for them.
Yeah. We talked about last episode as well that some people pay more to deal with one person.
Yeah.
And if you make sure they're dealing with me no matter what, that I'll get that extra things.
Well, and part of my business structure is I don't always take in a lot of new customers. I actually have my repeat and return customers is very high.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's like there may be years that I'll go where I have this base set of customers, and year after year, I mean, those are the same ones. And that's a big portion of my business is that repeat customer, that repeat event that they have going on.
Yeah, because they don't have to spend time researching anything. They call you or text you, hey, how much is this? Can
set
you do
up.
this? Yeah.
It's reprints are fast. Yeah, I mean, and that's how we do. I do raise prices with the market, just like everyone else does.
But you have items that are going to be exactly the same no matter who you call. It's just a certain banner or whatever.
I do go up on price, but my pricing hasn't changed a lot in years. I mean, my banner pricing, I'm not going to throw out all the details on that, but my banner pricing is the same as it's been for probably the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Same pricing. Haven't gone up on it.
With as much commodity goods have gone up in the last year and a half.
And we've held our pricing on banners. And probably that's probably one of our most purchased products is that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, that's something because we get a little off base what people care about, but you have a circle who will tell you stuff like that because you're, a lot of times, we talked about the person who is getting all right service, okay service, but not gonna say anything. Well, a lot of them, if they don't even do the research, you're their guy. They don't care. Like the service is good, but the price is they don't even know. They don't even care. But that's something like you would want somebody to come and pull you back.
Yeah.
But I know you do market research, so you're not going to do anything out of the ordinary. But not everybody does that. Not everybody has time for that. So that's something that you do want to keep an eye on. For like we said, listen to those people. Listen to your haters. I said I thrive on that. I wish we had more haters. I probably get petty and call them out a lot.
You want to listen to them, but you don't want to over concern yourself with what they have to say.
Yeah, you need to react to it appropriately.
Yeah.
On one end, obviously, don't overreact, but don't underreact either. You know, you said take it with a grain of salt both ways. I mean, when I see somebody post something about a restaurant, something horrible, I'm always like, okay, well, there's a reason for that. Like maybe they had a bad, especially restaurants, there's so many different people involved. You could have a really bad waiter and really genuinely bad, not a bad person, but a bad employee or, just a jerk. They had a fight with their girlfriend or whatever and they were bad, and that reflects poorly on the restaurant.
Yeah.
And the person did hire them but does that really affect how I should feel about them? Other than I may get that same server, but
yeah,
when you get bad reviews like that, sometimes, that you hope the manager sees it. If somebody says, hey, if somebody knows the manager or the boss or the person who owns this happened, this car wash stole my money or obviously stuff like that you want to do something about.
99% of the time, you know how to get in touch with them.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to post it on social media.
You're just looking for attention.
Yeah. We see it here in our small town. There's a few restaurants locally owned, and they get bashed all the time for their pricing or for, there's just these little things that the community is constantly, it's like, hey, we finally have some really nice restaurants, and now you're bashing them.
And again, not to get off topic, but, food's expensive now to go out, and some of these people locally don't want to live in a larger town, a larger city, but I know the same people that complain that we don't have this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you get restaurants like that, it's a little more convenient, things cost more.
Yeah.
You want these restaurants to come in there, but you want them to charge the same price as this restaurant who's been here for 30 years, and you can, you get a full meal and drink and everything for $8 or $9. When, like, no, you're gonna go out to eat. Family of 4 or 5, it's gonna probably be $70, $80 once you tip, and that's what it costs. If you can't afford it, don't go out to eat. But
Exactly.
You go to McDonald's or Whataburger now, and it's going to be pretty expensive too.
Yeah. But you want to support those businesses. You don't, and so let's look at this on the other side. When you're taking the criticism, also be mindful when you're giving the criticism.
Yeah.
Because do you want to give so much criticism and try to run this business out of town? Or do you really want them in your town? You're really not that worked up about the pricing being so much. Or they messed up your order, or...
Again, going somewhere local. I'm not going to name the place, but it's a bar here. And I don't know many of these people. Friends of a friend, people sharing. So, I don't know the whole drama, but somebody got fired for whatever. And so the owner made a shirt. Who do they got? Who the Cowboys got? Did they already draft?
No, they had 10. They trade it to the Eagles?
No. Is it 10?
Yeah, they're still at 10 now. It's switched to the Eagles.
Oh. We'll get back to that in a second. But they made a really vulgar type shirt. Like, it's, again, I don't know these people, but they're sharing
the restaurant,
this. It's a bar, yeah.
Okay.
About this person, because I don't know if they were stealing or what. And they're just going back and forth posting crappy things. I'm like, thinking, well, first of all, if you're an employee, don't be posting this crap because you're going to want another job. I'm one that I'm not going to post it. Not that my Facebook isn't genuine or my social media is not genuine, because I'm not, crazy or vulgar. I don't cuss a lot or anything. I mean, you get the real me on this show, and any employer can listen to this. But I'm obviously not going to post anything that, that's going to get me in trouble. And on the flip side, as a business owner, you should not be posting anything or getting in that kind of argument, like we said about, dealing with politics. Well, if you don't say anything, you're going to get drug out as this.
Mm-hmm.
But as a business owner, it's like you don't want to get drug out on this if you're in the right. We're just assuming somebody's saying something that, isn't necessarily untrue, but they're, making a lot more dramatic than it needs to be. But getting down to their level, it almost doesn't, matter. I could post whatever I want about Jerry Jones, assuming he even saw it. Jerry Jones isn't going to talk about me or post anything like this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a little rinky-dink podcast, but Jerry Jones could care less, even if he heard me.
So when you criticize him about trading his number 10 pick to move back to 12 to the Eagles,
that's fine. I was expecting them to move back because they have so many options with cornerbacks and defensive players that's okay. What did they get for it?
I don't know.
Hopefully a couple extra picks this year. Hey man, just stockpile those picks. They don't need a good defense. They just need players to play defense. Their offense will carry them if they have an okay defense.
Yeah, I don't know what the details are of that
trade. Oh, right there. What does it say? What the Cowboys get? Oh, just an extra couple of draft picks. They move up to 12.
They traded to 12, and then they moved back up to 10.
But what the Cowboys got another pick. I thought that showed two picks.
I didn't see it.
Oh, maybe this TV's a little bit behind.
I wasn't looking at it.
That's okay. If they just move back 2 picks, they'll probably still get the player they want that they could have drafted anyways. But going back to that, dragging somebody through the mud doesn't help. It just looks unprofessional.
Mm-hmm.
I like it when business owners post or they're very vocal on social media. And Galveston, the Spot.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy's always posting, mostly on the Spot's page, like pictures of himself, like he talks, like who he is.
Yeah.
And that's great. It's a good way to connect with customers, and they can put a face to it. It's not just an establishment.
Yep.
But you got to be careful with that. What sort of things do you post? I've never seen him post anything if somebody complained, which I've never really seen, I'm sure they get complaints, but I've never seen him share a post, say, so this idiot said this. Well, if they would have known that night we were short-staffed or whatever, I've never heard anybody say, and that's what I get, at a new restaurant that just opened up. I eat quite a bit. Like, I think once a week I'm there. It takes forever. The food's good.
The food's great.
Yeah, everything's great. It takes forever to get out of there. And I'm chalking up to it's a new company. I know they're hiring servers.
Go between 4:30 and 5:30.
Yeah, no.
In and out, dude. No problem.
It's always been...
Early dinner.
We eat dinner relatively early. Because we have kids and we want them in bed by 8. But typically it's on weekends and it's 7 o'clock or something like that. But yeah, it's packed and it's good. I mean, again, catch-22. What do you want? A good restaurant and stays in business, or do you want one you get in and out because there's not a lot of business?
And you want to see those guys succeed. You don't want them to just get by. I want to see a business like that blow up and explode and be, be really successful.
For so long, we wanted restaurants like that.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want another chain rrestaurant. Exactly. Now we have a bunch of those. I'm like, okay, maybe throw in a Whataburger, or throw in a couple of chain restaurants now. And what's funny, off the topic, I hope people who bitch and criticize on Facebook listen to this. When you say, why is Joshua, we live in Joshua. We're going to say it too. But why is this town bringing in this? Like, the city, I mean, I know they vote on it, but it's not like the city council, go get us a Whataburger, go get us a McDonald's. People have to invest and buy these franchises and then come to the city. Yeah. Unless they're saying, no, they can't come in there. They're not really deciding who comes to us. So when they say, no, this is crap, they need to bring in this. Well, go out there and get a loan and, be a small business owner, and or be a business owner and go franchise a McDonald's or whatever.
Yeah.
Understand, of course, I'm not criticizing. That sounds pretty hateful, but understand how things work before you post them on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because you can delete it, but you really can't after a while. But again, the main point is, who cares? But
don't consume yourself with other people's opinion, but do listen to it.
Yeah.
That's kind of use that as your market research. Use that as the investment into your company for your growth. Or someone may throw something out there trying to criticize you, and you think, man, you know what? That's actually a really good idea. I'm gonna try that. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna start making moves to try something different.
Oh man, Eagles got Devontae Smith. Now the Cowboys definitely need a quarterback to cover him. No, you're right. I mean, when somebody... Oh, man. I can't remember the post I made. But it was sort of a political deal. I just shared a thing. It wasn't taking one side. It was good advice. And somebody posted it. I'm like, yeah, that's... I didn't agree with what they said, but I'm like, okay, I understand. They weren't criticizing me. But be empathetic to that side. It's like, okay, why is this person saying this? Most of my customers are happy. This person's saying this. Let me figure out why. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not a big deal. We just screwed up. Maybe he's being overly critical. Maybe, it could have been their fault. Take blame. Whether you're going to publicly take blame or just in yourself, well, figure out why. Maybe it is your fault. It's a simple fix, and you lose one customer, but you can avoid it in the future because one post on Facebook. Okay, some people are going to latch onto it. And that's going to make their opinion up. Mm-hmm. Now, if they see another post from somebody else a month down the road, the exact same issue, now it's pretty much set in their mind.
Yeah. Yep, you're right.
The Cowboys up yet? No.
No, the
Bears.
Giants just traded their pick to the Bears.
Ooh. They're going for, what's his name? Ohio State quarterback? Maybe. Yeah, I told you. I figured he would drop. I said he was going to drop.
Yeah, it's a shame, man.
They got Andy Dalton.
Combine.
See, that was weird. After, I don't think Trevor Lawrence was ever not going to go in the top pick. But that was the discussion. It was them too. He was slightly behind Trevor Lawrence. But then he's behind Wilson. And then the 49ers I guess the 49ers didn't. A lot of the insiders are saying they were They're going to get what's his name from Alabama. He just kept going down. So this is the 11th pick right now, right? The Bears.
Yes.
So the Cowboys are going to be on the clock next. Again, we gave a great example. Is Jerry Jones. You think he cares? But,
No.
well, not about my opinion. But if you listen to him in a lot of interviews, especially, I like when you, on True Life, or not True Life, Football Life, or shows like that, he gives you really good insight. And he does listen to others. And he has strong relationships, Des Bryant, people like that, even with Jimmy Johnson, and it hurts him, and he may not take fault directly, he'll kind of, for a second, you're like, hey, hold on, but then he like gives you a backhanded,
yeah,
you're like, no, let's not do that, but it does bother him. So that's why he said you should be, like I said, take an empathetic look at it.
Yeah.
And always listen and.
But don't take it to heart. Don't let it. Don't let it get to you personally.
Yeah.
Don't take
wrapping up
personally.
on this topic, that's just what we want to say. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Know what somebody says. Depending on if it's your fault or not, but who cares?
And even if it is your fault, who cares? Move on. We're going to move on from it. You're going to learn from it.
Internally, yeah. I mean, it's great to admit your faults, but internally, you can just say, okay, shit, I screwed up.
Yeah.
It really hurts me, but now I'm going to fix it, not just to push it down and ignore it.
Yeah, exactly.
See, and you sent me this for our spot, and I was trying to think of a transition of something Sense in the City did. Like, hey, here's an example. They screwed up. They did this. But I haven't been able to find it. No.
They've never screwed up.
I'm like, there's something on Facebook they posted or somebody complained, but they don't.
Really?
No. I was thinking there's got to be something. I haven't seen it.
Everyone that I've spoken with that's done business with them has nothing but good things to say about these ladies.
We've done business. I have it burning right now.
Absolutely awesome. Every day in my office, I've got a scent melting.
That's what it's melting right now. I think it's still that Cowboys prayer.
I keep a lot of them on rotation, but just to change up the scent. Because if you
I'll change up the scent when it runs out, but I'm lazy when
you melt the same one, you kind of get used to it. And I like to have that change.
You can't
get
tell
that
the difference.
Distinct. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I usually don't burn them during the day. It's just when you come over, somebody comes over. Cause I never make this place smell bad. When you come over, or somebody's coming in here, I'll turn it on just to be a nice fresh smell when you come in. But yeah, they do a great job. We used to say, hey, they don't just have women's scents, they have men's scents, but I think we've made that pretty clear. So yeah,
everything.
Ladies,
car fresheners, wax melts.
I would say most of
candles.
They mostly have, I don't want to say womanly scents, but scents that the ladies would prefer, and then they have that little bit that the guys, hey, they they have a good selection for the guys, but yeah, we have wax melts, like you said, car fresheners. Do they have room sprays, correct?
Yeah, they have Carpet Fresh. We got some some stuff that we had ordered. Amberly used that. That was great. It helped the carpet smell a lot better.
They have a cool spring special coming on right now.
So,
and that's something a small business, they're always up to date. You go on their website, it says,
it matches their social
spring
media.
Now. They'll put Christmas, 4th of July thing. They
don't just have a website sitting there.
Yeah, they have since it's updated Facebook, seasonal stuff going on. And then when you get past that, and I know 4th of July, they had a few cents left over. Yeah. And had a lot of cool sales going on too. So
yeah, and that's one of our 2020 pandemic businesses that they started and grew through this pandemic.
Literally, they started, I think, right as, we were looking at them on, we've had them just about as long as, we've been a podcast. And they started right about then. I know they didn't have a website then because we were
Nope.
talking to them. They said website's coming.
That's what was holding us up on starting them on the ads.
Yeah, they were
in
just
rotation.
They started with Facebook and email.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were advertising before they even had their website up. And now they have. You wouldn't be able to tell that they're small businesses. They have a cool website.
Yeah.
Local, well, relatively local here in Texas, but they ship anywhere.
Ship anywhere, yes.
Yeah, down in Waco, Texas. And if you live in Johnson County, sometimes, it's hard with the pandemic, but they're at trade shows and festivals and things like that down in Cleburne.
Make sure you follow them on Facebook. They post those before they're going to be at those events.
Yep. Since in the city, they will have all that information down below in the link.
You can check out their Facebook, their website, and if you run into them at a trade show, let them know that you heard about them from the Business and Beyond podcast.
Yes. Yeah, like we said, it's nothing special we get or at one point you did get a discount for saying that. I don't know if she probably will honor something like that. I'm not sure, but we just like to hear it. Yeah. We like to know we're making a difference.
When we talk with these businesses, we communicate with them, we keep in touch with them. We want them to know that this relationship we've built, this friendship we're building with them, that it's working and it's helping that to bring them more business.
Yeah. Yeah, and like we said, we know for a fact that we've made differences in some of our advertisers' life. Them, I don't know. I like to think so. It makes us feel better. They started off, a very small startup without a website with us. Mm-hmm. And although all that was in the future, now they're growing, if not more quicker than we are, or at least as much as we are, compared to what they were before. It's just good to see whether it's directly us or not.
Yeah.
Or, it works both ways. I know she tells us, or tells her friends and a lot of people about us too, and shares our stuff as we share their stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good relationship.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to stall a little bit before we end the show. The Cowboys are on the clock. You'll hear our reaction here, right here. Yeah.
At least get this on there.
Yeah, why not? Let's turn this up a little bit. If it would work. Oh, look there. Pick is in.
The pick's in. Cowboys pick is in. Wow.
So they still have, I haven't seen all the picks, but if their guy's still on the board, they just basically got a free pick or two from the Eagles. Although I didn't like seeing Devontae Smith go to the Eagles. That's going to be rough. A good chance that the guy they're about to pick is going to cover Devontae Smith. Is Surtain still on the board?
Yeah.
That's probably, I think that's what they're going with.
So what's left in this division, like Jordan Love, Justin Fields could end up being the best quarterback in the division, which is, you're going to go to the playoffs, you're trying to win a Super Bowl, which is why you go through all these extra.
So just throw a wrench in it, pick Fields.
The party is on Rush Street tonight. They're turning up at Gibson's and Hugo's and everywhere else in Chicago where the celebrations.
What's up? I hope everybody in the podcast can hear this. If not, it's just a bunch of inaudible noise.
Okay. So where does this leave us? It leaves us with the Dallas Cowboys on the clock at number 12. Their defense is just...
They have to stall, of course, to build intrigue. The pick's in, just say it.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell should stay on the stage. As soon as the pick is in, say it in his ear and say it.
Really have somebody like Michael Irvin up there.
Shove 105 through the fan on. They always announce it like 2 minutes before. There are people saying the Cowboys need to draft a receiver. 3%. I don't even know that was a choice. It was offensive line, defensive line, cornerback, or receiver. Like, why is receiver on there? And 3% of the people say they should draft a receiver.
Yeah, this is going to be the longest walk to the podium.
Because it's the Cowboys.
They trade back with the Eagles to 12, and their pick is in. Here comes Roger Goodell.
Did he say Sertan or Horner off the board? Still on the board. So I haven't seen either of them go off.
No.
Excuse my ignorance. We started this during the 4th pick of the draft, so
Yeah, I think we missed a couple of them.
yeah, we saw Pitts, and then that was it.
To support resources for those that need it. Kanikia Bedrine, an Army veteran from Dallas.
He totally butchered that name, I'm sure.
After returning from Iraq. She turned her struggle into triumph and is now a licensed social worker who provides mental health counseling. Kanikia, we thank you for your service.
Are all those fans sitting in that chair? That was the one that was in Roger Goodell's basement. 'Cause I know they flew his chair from the basement. I was just wondering if that's all of them that they're sitting in.
She's going to be able to make this pick so emotional. Sorry to all
Boo.
the Cowboy
Where is this at?
Cowboy haters. I don't know.
Cleveland. That's in Cleveland.
Cleveland?
Whoa. I did not expect that.
Huh. Wow.
So, Sean Lee did retire.
Yeah.
So,
So we take another Penn State linebacker?
Well, I think Jalen Smith's a solid player. I think he's
Do you think
overpaid.
this is a pick to replace
Van Der
Van Der
Esch?
Esch?
Well, they hadn't picked up his 5th-year option. If Van Der Esch is healthy, you know, but
That's a big shakeup. I didn't think they would go linebacker
yeah,
first pick.
glad they went defense, but that's interesting.
Especially when they typically only run 2 linebackers. I mean, any
Yeah.
team in the NFL nowadays.
I mean,
really only
it's
run.
insurance now. I mean, Sean Lee was able to stay healthy recently when Van Der Esch was out, but he just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
So now you have
Yeah. I mean,
more insurance out there.
He's potentially a day 1 starter.
I mean, you can't say it's not a weakness. They just have so many weaknesses on the defense.
Yeah, that just wasn't the first one you were thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a solid pick.
Yeah. It's not flashy, but, you know, most of the flashy ones normally don't tend to play out.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I always bring up they picked Zach Martin over Johnny Manziel. And I was like, oh, that's kind of boring, but that was a
That was
really
one
good
of the best
pick.
picks. Yeah.
And not because Johnny
In recent
Manziel
history.
didn't pan out, but mostly just because Zach
Yeah.
Martin's one of the best offensive linemen.
So here's the big one. Will he wear number 11 in the NFL with the new uniform changes?
Well, it depends if somebody else will take number 11. He could wear number 11. So what
gonna
does
be
Zeke want to
interesting
do?
this year.
Zeke wants to be 15.
Is he? Does he? Really?
He says he wants to. I don't know if they'll. But C.D. Lamb said. Oh, I think C.D. Lamb said he wanted 11. Wasn't that his college number?
No, he was 2.
Was it 2?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else thought that was 11. But C.D. Lamb, do you think Jerry Jones is going to let him take away from 88?
I don't know.
I don't think he'd let him do that. He would.
Jerry doesn't look happy. Look,
But that's okay. Because
that's good.
Yeah.
If he's happy, that's a terrible pick.
Yeah, because I think it was Steven that stopped him from drafting Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Should let him be number 1. Well, that's the Cowboys' probably only pick unless they trade it up. I doubt they're going to trade up now.
that's
Their
probably
pick,
it
they're going to
for
have a few
tonight.
picks tomorrow. I think they're supposed to have 3. They may have 4 now. They got an extra pick from Philly. I don't know when that is. I didn't see. But, not to drag on anymore, those who aren't football fans are probably already...
Yeah, we apologize for that.
Hey, man, I think we should start having...
But don't judge us.
Yeah,
We're not going
or
to judge
just do it. Go ahead. Send that. Like I said, when they started booing the Cowboys fans, that kind of made me feel good being a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, it doesn't phase
Just
me.
booing. I like the haters. That just means we're doing something right.
It doesn't phase me.
Yeah. So, man, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something. Oh, what we should start doing is events like this. We should do our show on those times.
Yeah.
You know, we got the draft. See what's coming up next. Non-sports, whatever. We could do it.
Oh,
So,
sounds good. Make sure to check out Sense in the City.
until that next event, I'm Ashton.
And I'm Tony.